I'm Kale.
And I'm Marin.
We are the Smiths.
We live full-time in this baby.
We call him Phil, our truck bed camper.
Today we wanted to show you a little bit about what we're doing to survive the winter in our truck bed camper.
Beep, 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 beep. So this is milk dripping from our camper. It's coming down here from the inside all the way down back by the fridge, an entire gallon.
Oh my gosh! This
My
is
wife's
my
pretty
life,
thrilled.
I swear!
So we own a BigFoot 2500 truck bed camper.
The camper's bottom and top are sealed in the middle like this, rather than having any seams on the top.
So our camper is a BigFoot, which is designed and made in Canada. So it's designed to endure all weather types.
So it's insulated, but we still took extra precautions to make sure that we would stay warm. So we'll show you what we did. Kale and I used what's called self-leveling sealant. Anywhere that we drilled any holes, anywhere where there was pre-existing holes, you can kind of see it's this dirtier spot, is where we put self-leveling sealant. So once we put rubber cement down, we drilled into the top of the camper. That immediately makes a risk for water to get in and cause water damage, or the water get in and freeze and cause structure damage. So once we drilled in, we covered everything in self-leveling sealant. Even the stuff that was here pre-existingly, we've recovered in self-leveling sealant to avoid any problems. And now comes the most important part. What did we do to the inside? So the first thing was we had to keep cold air from getting into us. So Kale and I reinforced our door seal. You can see this blue stuff here. So this first section of blue helps seal the screen door. We know from our trip down to Arizona that our seal wasn't very good. You saw all the dirt that got in. So we first sealed that part, and then we sealed for a second time around the door. So that keeps any cold air from outside from getting in. And we have already noticed a difference. Come on inside.
Okay, next thing right here is you're coming into the camper. This is not the original floor fan in these BigFoot campers. When we first bought this, actually Marin redid the entire floor. It's made of a kind of a rubber vinyl material that is really tough.
And it's
Comes pretty much
waterproof.
anything. And it's totally waterproof.
And that's the most important part. So in between each of these layers, we've put caulking or sealant just to keep any water from getting underneath and causing damage or any problems like that. But once the cold weather hit, all of the laminate shrunk just a little bit. So Kale and I, in preparation for the winter and the cold, went back through and resealed all of these seams so that we have for sure protection against all of the snow and the water that's gonna get from our shoes inside, and just to keep the floor from having any water damage. So the next biggest way that cold air gets in is through the windows.
So during the day, our camper is usually totally fine. Temperatures, even if they're close to freezing, because of the sunlight, we're not too worried about anything freezing here in the camper. Unfortunately, you still have to take precautions. At night, we are concerned that either our gray or black tanks will freeze, or some of our water lines. So to keep those things from freezing, we run a propane heater during the night. This propane heater we usually set to about 60 degrees, which keeps things pretty toasty in here for us to sleep, as well as keeping our tanks and keeping everything at least warm enough that it's not going to freeze. Unfortunately, it's not the most efficient heater. One of the main ways we're seeing heat escape from our camper is right here in these single window panes. We lose a lot of heat from these windows. To keep some of the warm air in and the cold air out, we've designed these neat little insulation window covers. During the day, we'll take them out so that the sunlight can come into the camper. And then during the night, all we'll do is we'll pop these blinds out. I like to pull it up, and I'll just throw this window cover in, just like this. We've cut them to size so they fit right there in the window. We bought these at Home Depot. Not only does this work awesome from keeping the cold air out and the warm air in, this is also a nice light blocker, so that when we're boondocking or we're parked somewhere where we want to stay really stealth, this keeps all of the light from coming outside and giving us away. When we do pull them out, it's really easy to take it out, roll it up, and we have some storage locations for them. So we just leave that guy right there. Over here we have this window cover as well. We keep him right up here in this storage bin ahead. We added a window cover right over here on our truck window as well. And of course, up here in our bed, we've got winter light-proof curtains that keep things pretty well insulated. But even with that, we still added some insulation behind it, which should keep things pretty toasty up here. So during a really cold day, if the day gets down to about 25 degrees, it's typical the camper will be about 35 to 40 degrees. Now with this insulation, we're seeing temperatures as high as 50 degrees. So the insulation has made a huge difference. I think it's gonna keep us nice and toasty during the winter. Cool. As an added precaution, just to make sure, even though we're pretty convinced everything's gonna be safe, we do not want to have any poopsicles hanging from the bottom of our camper.
Poopsicles!
So
Ew.
we also got this pretty sweet RV antifreeze. It'll make sure that we don't have any frozen tanks.
And just to clarify, we're not putting this in any of the water that we actually touch. We pour the antifreeze down the sink drain and then down the toilet. So it only goes into the gray water tank, the water that we dump, and down the toilet into
The black water tank.
the black water tank, which we also dump.
Fortunately, our fresh water tank is really close to the center of the camper. If it were to freeze, it'd be the last thing to freeze. Additionally, there's cold air that can reach into the camper just from these outdoor compartments as well. The inside here is nice and insulated, just like the rest of the camper, but these doors are just a thin piece of metal. So we also added some insulation. It's definitely not pretty, that will keep everything in here nice and warm, and will in turn also keep the bad weather from getting into our camper. In addition to all the cold weather, there's also the snow, of course. So we upgraded to some all-terrain tires, a brand new set on the entire car, and we think that'll be super helpful as we're driving through and commuting in the snow this year.
So pray for us that we don't freeze to death. We love it and it's so fun, and everybody should live in a camper, because if the whole world lived in a camper, then we could all just live wherever we wanted. Just kidding. We're having a great time, and as much as people worry about us, Kayla and I are not concerned about this winter. We're gonna be just fine.
All right, one more time, I'm Kale.
And I'm Marin.
Until next time,
We'll be freezing!
and we'll be smithing it.